Hey guys, and welcome back to another video of ECK Sports, and today I am back at it with another video, and this time I'm doing my MLW Draft grades for 2022, one season after all these rookies have played. In this video, I take a look at all 8 players drafted, and I grade them based on their production and their value based on the pick. So without further ado, let's get right into it. With the first overall pick, the Mallards selected Jordan Robles, and of course, he's going to get an A+. Nothing else other than an A+ that I can give him here. He won Rookie of the Year, which already classifies him as the best rookie. He won Silver Slugger. He was in contention for MVP, and he batted .393 with 8 home runs, 17 RBIs, a .595 on base, .821 slugging, and a 1,400 OPS, and became the ace of his team right away. Led his team from 4-11 to 11-4, and was a massive impact for the Mallards this season. Easy A+. However, the second overall pick didn't pan out as well as the first overall pick did. And that second overall pick was Hawley, and I'm giving it a D-. Now, I don't like to give it an F. I don't like to give things Fs. Like even a few years ago, I gave Max Tamaka a D- because you never know. Mac could always be a solid 4th bat or 5th bat for this team, and he might get some playing time next year. But I just don't see the potential. He has a pretty good eye. He had a .444 on base percentage. In his 18 plate appearances, he walked 8 times, no hits. Didn't really display much of power or anything. The best we've seen him got was like a flyout off a sailor. Not a good rookie season, and what makes this even worse is that he was taking over both Sawyer Behen and Landon Yurgaites, who both got very good grades for their picks. Not a great pick by the Predators, and it looks even worse now that they could have used either Sawyer or Landon as their number 4 hitter. With the third overall pick, the Coastal Cobras selected Sawyer Beien. He batted .319 with 3 home runs, 12 RBIs, a .360 on base, .511 slugging, and an .871 OPS. Now, those numbers aren't eye-popping numbers, as he only played in 10 games, but he was still a big impact and probably became the Cobras' best hitter toward the end of the season. Not only did he break out with his hitting, but he also broke out with his pitching, as he showed that he could really be an ace in this league. Now, obviously, he has Brendan Baranowski on his team, but he could be an ace for a lot of teams in this league. In 24.1 innings, he had 60 strikeouts with a 2.1 ERA and a 2.81 whip. Sawyer had himself a great season. Should have been the number 2 pick, clearly, but he gets himself an A. I could have given it an A+, but those are really reserved for people like Jordan Robles. And then with the 4th overall pick, Eastern Eagles selected Landon Yurgaites, and I'm going to give this an A-. Now, Yurgaites was the best player on the board, without a doubt. He was the 3rd best player in this draft. I had him ranked as the 2nd best prospect going into the season. He turned out as the 3rd, and he had a pretty solid season. He had a .206 average, 1 home run, 8 RBIs, a .449 on base, .294 slugging, and a .743 OPS. The only problem for Landon is the power, and he's a little inconsistent. He draws walks. He had 15 walks, but how much value is that to the Eagles at this point? The Eagles already have Dan, who walks a lot, Dallas, who walks a lot, Waylon, who walks a lot. Kind of brings it down a little bit for maybe an A+, and he also was not good in the playoffs. He did not get a single hit in the playoffs. The production isn't great, but he showed a lot of flashes, especially on the mound, with Daniel Schultz having a bad second half of the season, and even Dallas also having a bad second half of the season. Maybe you see Landon pitch more next year. This could turn into an A or maybe even an A+ in the future, but for now, it's an A-. With the 5th overall pick, the Great Lakes Gators selected Reece Harris. Now, Reese hasn't played much. He only played in 4 games, 3 against the Eagles, 1 against the Wildcats, but I gotta give this a D+. I know it might be a little bit harsh, but I think the players taken after him have more potential than he does. You look at Ty Smith, Casey Bennett, Trey Flood, and I'm sure there were other guys that went undrafted that have more potential than Reese has. I hope he succeeds. I want him to succeed, but I just can't give him anything higher than a D+ right now. He had a 0 batting average with no home runs, no RBIs, a .273 on base, a 0 slugging, and a .273 OPS. Not ideal for the Gators. He could work out. Reese was kind of a boom or bust prospect, and I think it might be the bust, but you never know. 2023 could be very different for Harris than 2022. And then these last 3 are pretty similar. With the 6th overall pick, the Downtown Diamondbacks selected Trey Flood, and I'm going to give it a B. Now, Trey Flood hitting-wise did not do great. He had a 91 batting average, 1 home run, 2 RBIs, 333 on base, 364 slugging, and a 697 OPS. Other than that home run he had against Saylor, he really wasn't that great, especially in Vermont. He was not hitting the ball well at all. He's kind of what the Diamondbacks drafted him to be, as a guy that maybe could be a long-term piece and a depth piece right now. After all, he's going into his 16-year-old season, and that's something you have to consider. He might be the team's number 2 arm next year, which raises his value. So while he didn't have a great season last year, I mean, it's even on the mound, he had a 4.5 ERA and a 3.6 whip, but he has future potential, and I see something in Trey, and I think Jimmy does too, and I'm going to give it a B. With the 7th overall pick, the Western Wildcats selected Ty Smith. Ty is a very interesting prospect. I think people have given up on Ty Smith, and I say you're calling it too early. I'm giving it a B, and I know you're probably thinking I'm crazy. You probably thought I was going to give it a D or a C, but I'm giving it a B, and here is why. Ty, while he didn't have the greatest season, there were probably guys that went undrafted that might be better than him. I mean, after all, he had a 111 average, he had a home run, 3 RBIs, 500 on base, 444 slugging, and 944 OPS. Those last 3 numbers are pretty good. And you'll probably say that it was carried by that Magic game. I mean, after all, he only batted 111 with a home run. I'll tell you where the good is. Ty Smith showed a lot of flashes in the Magic series and only got to play in 6 games. He just didn't get to play that much. I know the Wildcats have the 3rd overall pick, but I think that he could really break out in 2023. You're seeing with these KZoo guys. You get Beien, obviously great pitcher in KWL. When he comes into MLW, he struggles for a full year. He goes off. You look at Sawyer. It took him time to develop. It's going to take time for Ty Smith. He's not going to come in and just be an elite player. It didn't happen with Sawyer, and it didn't happen with Beien, and it's not going to happen with Ty either. But you saw in the Magic series that there was at least some flashes, and he has been a good wiffle ball player in KWL, which is a very competitive league. I think Ty Smith is going to be a really good player. The only issue is that I think his spot might be taken by the 3rd overall pick. So we'll see how he does. As for now, I'm giving it a B. And the Mr. Irrelevant pick in the 2022 MLW Draft was Casey Bennett, and I'm also going to give it a B. And the reason why is because I think he does have some potential. I don't know about at the plate because he had a 77 batting average with a home run, 2 RBIs, 250 on base, 308 slugging, and a 558 OPS. But just like Trey, I have to realize that he could be a big factor of the team next year. He could be the number 2 arm, and he could also be the 4th bat. So him and Trey are very similar. It's hard to give them different grades. Both of them could have very similar roles, and both of them are going to be fighting for the same roles, along with the 6th overall pick. But the part that really raises this from maybe something in the C's, because you figure, again, there might have been players that didn't get drafted that might be better than Casey. The thing I really like about Casey is his pitching. I think in Vermont, he really showed his pitching capabilities with his movement. He has a pretty good arsenal, which he didn't really display too much on camera. I was at the Vermont series. He broke out a few pitches, 2 sliders, a screwball, and a drop ball. Ton of movement. I know Trey Flood might be the more sexy name. You know, he's younger. People know him a little bit better from, Bay City. Right now, I'm going to give this a B. I'm going to give Ty a B. I'm going to give Trey a B. These 3 guys are very interesting prospects. I think 2023 is going to tell a lot about them, and I'm interested to see how those 3 especially do. I'm not saying it's over for Reese and Matt. It's not looking good for either of them. And then, of course, Landon, he could really break out this year. Sawyer could go from star to elite. And, of course, Robles is already one of the best players in the league. Thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy it, make sure you guys hit the like button and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.